The Lost Cryptids Conservatory, where we will shatter your reality to bring you closer to the truth.
All right, guys, welcome back to another late show. We've got a special co-host today. We got Shannon Hall from the Eastern Kentucky Bigfoot Research Team on Facebook. How you doing tonight, Shannon?
I'm doing pretty good. What about you?
Yeah, we're gonna have fun. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay. No, it's fine. Awkward silence.
Oh yeah, we're gonna have a fun show. Of course, we're gonna talk about Bigfoot. We might be on a little delay here. Once we go live, of course, things always get a little jiffy and stuff. So bandwidth and connection, of course. But Shannon is actually out of Eastern Kentucky, so we're going to talk a little bit about that and get her opinions on what the Sasquatch are currently doing in Kentucky right now here in winter. You know, Kentucky's a lot different than Michigan. Of course, you guys have a lot more caves and cave systems, and the Appalachian mountain chain goes up there. And so what's your take on the Sasquatch, what they're doing in Kentucky right now?
Well, honestly, I think it could be caves, like not necessarily hibernation, but seeking like refuge whenever the big storms hit. I think that really is what they're doing, or like the nests. I think the hair they have, I think that keeps them warm enough that she'd be able to like cold them during the winter. So that's what I think.
Yeah, you know, like deer and other animals. You know, deer just lay down and get covered in snow and actually survive and stuff, and leave little round patches of you can see the grass of warmth where they lay down for the night, even in -5 degrees or colder. So a big hairy creature could possibly just not really need much shelter. In fact, actually in winter. You know, that's the thing. We really don't know what do they do, where do they go. You know, a lot of us think they don't really have permanent shelters because it would be easy to find. What's your take on that? With the cave systems and stuff, a lot of people and researchers who I talk to in Kentucky and Tennessee and in Georgia think that, you know, they have access to these underground cave systems, and go under there, and secret ones that are not discovered by people in the wilderness.
Well, I think they could possibly do that, like with the Mammoth Cave systems, where there's miles that are unknown, uncharted. I mean, uh, anything's possible whenever there's unknown caves. So,
That's right. You guys have the Mammoth Cave systems right there in Kentucky, and that's hundreds and hundreds of miles of mapped trail systems, and then they have hundreds and maybe thousands of unknown
yeah,
cave
they
systems
just
that
lead
is
right
not
into
mapped
each
out. And
other.
and it's amazing, what could be down there, and they are discovering, life forms in the deep, darkest reaches of these cave systems that don't exist in light and don't exist in off Earth conditions that normal life thrives in. They discovered bacteria in underground lakes in Antarctica, so there's a lot of natural mysteries still left in this world, and Sasquatch is a part of that. It's not.
Yes.
I don't think paranormal, but it's this natural way of life that we have not discovered yet. So, um,
I agree.
so what else is happening in Kentucky? I know you guys actually have a few cryptids that you personally are into and stuff. You want to talk about some of those stuff?
Let's see. Currently, right now, it's more of a. I feel like there's more Bigfoot sightings than we're having anything else. I know there's some what is it? Dogman sightings. There's
Okay.
been quite a few of those. Um,
Yeah, let's talk
I'm
about
not
that.
necessarily. You can go. Of the
You know,
okay.
I was gonna say, yeah, Michigan has a lot of dogman sightings, and Kentucky is another state that has high dogman sightings. So what are you hearing? What are the reports witnessing and stuff? Because there seems to be a lot of different body types and types of these upright walking canines, or however they are acting.
Mostly the ones that I know that's from Kentucky are the larger snout, about I think about 6 to 7 feet, like tall, covered in hair. I feel like sometimes I think a Bigfoot sighting and a dogman sighting may be confused, or
Oh yeah,
maybe definitely where we have black bear. I think some of them could be black bear sightings, but the way that they're spotted here, I think a lot of people in this area know what a black bear looks like. I don't think people in this area are going to misidentify those types of creatures because we live out here. We know what animals there are. We see them daily.
exactly. You guys are in that climate and stuff. You guys are able to register and recognize that creature, whether they're not compared to like city folk and people out of state, and people not used to seeing bears and stuff, like how they. And a lot of it is glimpses of stuff too. So you see a glimpse of something black running in the woods, and a lot of people really want to see Bigfoot or a black cougar or a dog man or whatever. And but there are sightings of clear sightings of these dog man creatures, and they're pretty descriptive. And honestly, from my own sighting, when it's upright and walking, and it's a wolf, there's there's definitely no denying that it's definitely a wolf canine creature, and it's not a Sasquatch. Especially when you get a good look. So
Yeah.
there are people seeing stuff. I mean, there's just no doubt about it. But what they are and what their intent is, and how do they fit in the natural realm of things is the mystery. And I am completely puzzled because it doesn't really make sense. Um, Naturally, unless they are just wolves who are evolving to walk upright. And some of these other descriptions are more werewolf type of muscles and
Yeah.
humanoid Arnold Schwarzenegger type of body frames. But the one I seen was very natural wolf, fluid in its canine on all fours, and when it stood up, it was running like a person's, but it looked like a wolf who just stood up. So, what are we all seeing? Because there's certainly something else going on with all these other types. But is it the paranormal side or is it natural side? Where do you kind of fall into that with the dog man?
I'm more of the natural side. Like, if I can have something science to back them up, like with Bigfoot, we have science. We have like the theory of Gigantopithecus to back up Bigfoot, but I mean, there's others too, but you know what I mean. And I mean, I think evolution could be a big part in that because we don't know. Like the prehistoric animals, I mean, they're coming back every day. Not necessarily coming back, but we've put them as extinct and they've still been around. We just haven't saw them.
That's right. I think that's that is a very good point, and that's something that probably happens without people actually seeing it. It's probably happens a lot. Is we find the coelacanth fish that is millions of years old, still living today. That could put in the question of other creatures at any time frame basically living. Some say the megalodon is still down there. We do have and know of reports of the giant squid and a different species that we call them. From giant to colossal, and it's gigantic and stuff. Different sizes and categories, and so there's a lot of natural stuff that are considered cryptids if they were seen because they're extinct and they're not supposed to be there, and they possibly have evolved differently than what this archeotype special type is because they find the bones and they theorize what it looks like and all that blah blah blah. But living creatures, especially evolved creatures, might slightly be different, and it just begs the question, especially all this undiscovered landmass and especially underground hollow earth stuff and places all over the world. Still today that we have not discovered and go to.
No, I agree. I think, but again, that is a good point. Like as a researcher, whenever people say, "Oh, Bigfoot doesn't exist. There's no way anything like that would exist." 11,000 years ago wasn't honestly that long ago.
No.
Other creatures are not extinct from millions of years ago. 10,000, 11,000 years ago. That's not necessarily a long time. So
yeah, exactly. It's a blink of an eye, and
in nature,
it makes you wonder, especially if you spread it across not only North America. We have Bigfoot that we archetype, but the Yeti and the Yeren over in China and the Himalayas, they might be slightly different. Obviously, we think they are and stuff. They're evolved differently in different continents and in different altitudes. So, it begs the question, in Australia and Indonesia and stuff. The little hobbit people that we had. We were finding the Denisovans and all these other new species that we're identifying. I mean, who's to say that these remnants didn't last out for a while? And we do have mythological stories of like Homer's Odyssey and stuff like that of these hairy creatures helping heroes and being companions on these in these tales. So
Exactly. I just think it's just funny how everything evolves differently based on their territories and the ecosystem that's around them. I mean, like the Yeti is known to be more aggressive than our North American Bigfoot here. So I just think it really just depends.
yeah, it evolved, and these creatures, especially Sasquatch, evolved next to people usually. And okay, so in different parts of the world, they evolve next to people, and you have different stories. And usually, it's you have these giants or these trolls or these orcs and goblins and such things. And in Europe and then in China and stuff, they had these giants, and in Tibet, and they had drawings and stuff, very ancient yetis and stuff, and said, yeah, they would eat you and kidnap you, and sometimes they were more friendly and stuff, but this wild man architecture is always the same. It's uh, both good and bad. Usually, it's wild and stuff. So wild people, usually attack other people because they have that wild animalistic side to them. So, and you're talking about Dogman and stuff, and there's a creature. It's a wolf and stuff, and there's a lot of spiritual side to a natural wolf in every culture that has interaction with wolves, not only Native Americans. And when you have something that is a wolf that now stands up and stuff, that would have a lot of meaning and certainly in medieval lore, a lot of sinister, scary horror stories. So,
What was it? It was a wolf over, I think, England. It killed so many people, and it's actually documented.
it was for France, I
France,
believe,
yes.
and
Yeah, like
yeah,
it's
very documented, and a lot of
documented.
theories on that. Of course, Dogman or werewolf or people think a hyena and stuff, came over, was brought over, and it got escaped and stuff. A lot of, but honestly, it's something did happen, and something was going on. A hellhound and stuff. Those are
Yeah,
seen in England.
Cohen's.
Where they're kind of ghostly, kind of entities too, where they're a hellhound, their eyes glow, and they have this ghostly type of a feel and disappearance and stuff. So maybe a lot of it is spiritual. Um,
Yeah.
do you ever think about that? And what does that mean and stuff? If this stuff is, let's say, woo or spiritual, and we're seeing these entities that are not so much natural, then what kind of questions would pop in your head of what's going on?
Hmm. Well, I guess I think everything just evolves around each other. So I think I believe in spiritual stuff also. So like let's see like let's see like I don't know how you are about religion and stuff, but like I believe in God and Jesus and angels. So I'm more of like on thinking things are more on the demonic side to things, like bad spirits. So I think it could be something demonic when you're talking about like the hellhounds and all that.
Yeah, honestly, if something was very spiritual, I'd feel the same way. If it wasn't, it was out there and it was deceiving and it wasn't good natured and stuff, I'd have to lean toward it being demonic and evil entity, whatever it is. It doesn't, if it leans towards that side, it's pretty much all the same to me,
Yeah.
because that's the way it flows, right? Good
Yeah.
natured people don't, want to interact with stuff like that. So it would open up a big can of worms and stuff, and I think a lot of people would not be ready for that kind of
No.
spiritual awakening or warfare. Let's just say, if it was, because that would be very sinister and scary to a lot of people. And I don't think any normal person would very scared. So
No, definitely. I mean,
I think that's
I
a good,
get
far end of a spectrum, but it is a possibility because we don't have the answers yet. And honestly, that is still one theory that could on the table. Because there's a lot of stuff out there I've seen and stuff, so it just makes me think, ghosts, UFOs, Bigfoot, Dogman stuff. I mean, it's like, there's a possibility if it's all connected, and then the sinister thoughts. It's like, you have to kind of think about, but
yeah, think through it.
the deep end of things. But I'm gonna put the link in the chat for someone else to come on. Of course, join in the discussions. We'll talk a little bit about everything. Anything's on the table. Any kind of cryptid and stuff. Even little people and stuff. We got a number of reports here in Michigan and historical reports in Kentucky too of little people and stuff. And you were saying we were chatting earlier of your grandma and stuff of having reports and sightings and stuff when she was growing up and around her area.
Yeah, like that's a thing where we're from. Like everybody knows about the little people. I guess it's passed down through stories.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Of the especially of back then. When your grandma was growing up. Early 1900s. And older of these little people, in these rural, communities and homesteads and stuff throughout Appalachia. It's very fascinating. And then you go into the Native American side of things, and they have stories all throughout, certainly Kentucky and throughout most of North America, is what I'm finding. And a lot of tribes have stories of these little people, and they describe them in different ways and different personalities, but common traits are tricksters and if you offend them or disrespect them or harm them, they can definitely hurt you or kill you or definitely make you go lost and steal children is another thing in a few tribes, which is very interesting too. So what kind of things did your grandma say about the little people?
She talked about them being in the hills a lot. Like I said, tricksters, stuff going missing, just little people that lived in the hills and they just steal stuff. Pretty much is what it is.
Yeah,
Just something.
you
That's little people.
and it's very fascinating too because people are seeing little people when they go in the woods, and these historical accounts of the settlers all the way through the 1900s, the 1950s, all the way to present day are still seeing these little type people, and well, they're not. Sometimes they are winged and fairy type, but sometimes they're a foot tall to 3 feet tall. Is what the natives is told, and settlers usually see them, and being or smaller, smaller than a foot, but about a foot, give or take on average. And the tribes out west on the plains and the Arapaho and the Comanche out there, they had an ancient war with a more of a dwarven 3 foot tall little people who were very warlike. Yeah, they have a story of a very warlike race of little people who they made war with, and they had they said that these dwarven people, for them to go to heaven, they would have to die in warfare and stuff. So they were a warlike type of race, and they exterminated these race of little people because of their tendencies of war and customs and bloodshed. So out there, the natives come together to stop and exterminate their race. And there's other stories of natives coming together to exterminate different races, like the Moon people and Cherokee, the Moon people who could see in the dark but couldn't see in the day, and they came together and exterminated them in caves during a full moon because they were half blind. And of course,
Okay.
giants.
I feel
Yes,
that's
yeah,
backed up by science right there. Being in
yeah.
the
They
dark.
had,
Yep.
yeah, they were a type of humanoid. The Cherokee called them the Moon people, and they were described as a humanoid, pale, and lived in caves. Were adapted to living in the dark. They weren't human. They did not sound like Sasquatch. They were something else, and they lived out through Appalachia. And after warfare, they were finally conquered. Of course, because these type of creatures, ended up kidnapping kids and causing problems for us. And probably, they're seen as monsters. I would assume, different type of creatures and humans. Of course, we're very war oriented and very war customs, and we hunt and we have developed a lot of war tendencies. So we were pretty aggressive. Native Americans, of course, no different than any other place around the world. So we did battle with these different races and Neanderthal and other natural official races and stuff. So it's very interesting that we have stories and stuff spread out through the United States, North America, and beyond.
It really is. If you think about it, like whenever you get into the science parts, think about blind. I'm assuming, well, they wouldn't have known that animals that are adapted into the dark are blind or usually blind. So if that is part of what they're talking about, I don't think science backs that up.
Yeah, and there's different animals see in different spectrums of light and stuff. So just
Yeah.
because humans tend to think animals see like we do, but it's definitely not the case. And a lot of animals are unique in their eye spectrum and how they evolve, especially nocturnal creatures. A lot of nocturnal creatures pick up on ambient light at nighttime so they can see, but um, we know that caribou, I think it is, or elk, see on the UV spectrum and can see things a lot differently than a lot of animals. And we speculate Bigfoot can see on some sort of infrared spectrum, definitely nocturnal because of stuff that we've captured and seen, but also nocturnal primates is a real thing, and it's evolved similar to owls and how owls see in the dark. So nocturnal apes and hominoid evolution is very similar to owl evolution. So actually, nocturnal apes and primates are very adept at seeing at nighttime usually. So a humanoid, nocturnal humanoid and stuff, would probably have advanced nocturnal vision, especially a cave dweller, where very
Yeah.
minimal light or no light at all you would maybe have and see in different spectrums and stuff. Um, very interesting stuff, though.
Definitely.
Maybe they're still out there. People see the rake and stuff, skinwalkers and
Yeah.
stick man.
I was thinking there's something similar that I've heard about.
Somewhat. It's I don't know what it is, but there's definitely some creature out there like that I've fortunately had to witness, and my dad was witness to it too. So along with my
Wow.
friend, but super skinny hominoid, looked like Gollum from the Two Towers and Lord of the Rings series. So who knows what out there? There's a lot of creatures out there, and I think the government definitely knows there's stuff going on. No doubt about it. It's just
Yeah.
if they don't, they're incompetent, and if they're that incompetent, then we're really screwed. But they're not that incompetent. So.
No. Definitely no.
Yeah, so links in the chat. I believe I put it in the chat already. You guys, anyone can come on really and talk with us about Bigfoot, little people, Dogman, Thunderbirds is another cryptid that people claim to see, but there hasn't been really any real good sightings in a couple of years. But again, something that definitely probably was living, whatever it was. People see pterosaurs more than Thunderbirds. I know a lot of people have seen pterosaurs and pterodactyl type creatures in Texas.
Honestly, I think that's probably about the same type of animal, in my opinion. That's just what I think. Just the same type of animal that's seen over the same areas, just different names.
Yeah, dinosaurs living out and thriving still. It definitely would be a great Thunderbird. Um, in Chile and South America, they have raptors and other kind of dinosaurs roaming the desert and all through there, and it's very interesting because we have stories of dragons and stuff, and of Alexander the Great fighting these dinosaur type creatures throughout India and Indonesia and all that. So why not? Why don't these creatures still exist, especially in these extreme environments, remote places and swamps? Swamp environments are very unique and they don't change. And a lot of people don't go into swamps, and a lot of superstitions around swamps and missing people and Sasquatches are related to swamps very, very closely, and swamps and that are entrances and exits to underground waterways and stuff. There are drains, and that's where they drain from underground passages. So maybe there's a huge network of things that we just don't know, and the government doesn't want us to know about because all these natural creatures that would probably the public, that they're still alive, and if you go in these places that are hiking and backpacking and tourist hotspots, would probably kill an industry.
Yeah.
So, why don't we talk a little bit about these big cats and black panther type creatures that are reported in Kentucky and elsewhere? What's your thoughts on that? What's going on? It seems like there's a lot.
I believe that it is just another big cat that, like the mountain lions, they say they're not here, but we know they're here. We know they are. Like my aunt's Great Dane that I mentioned literally got attacked. Wasn't a bobcat or anything. The vet said it was a mountain lion with like the claw marks and everything aligned with a mountain lion. So there's literal proof that they're here. And I don't know what the big deal is with keeping it a secret. I mean, I've had personal, not necessarily encounters, but sightings of one in Johnson County. I was in my house. Well, not in, but on the porch with my papa. It was me and him both saw it. And it crossed, not the road, but across from the road. There was a light post, and you could see it cross underneath it just with that light. It was crazy. And it wasn't like a house cat or anything. Like, this was a big cat. So.
Right. And that's just the mystery is that cougars and mountain lions, they don't turn black. There's no reports of ever a black mountain lion or cougar because they just don't have those colors in their genetics.
Yeah.
But yet those kind of big cats are, these mystery cats are seen as black and stuff. And over in Europe, they have these black cats in England and stuff where they did not match up to the genetics of what the profile is. And me and you were talking about the South American pumas and stuff, and jaguars that can be black, but they're out of range and they don't look like what's reported, which is mountain lion type of a look, or puma type of a look. So
Yeah.
what's going on? What is it? Is it some exotic new genetic experiment gone wrong or something? Because it's like a new species that just popped up out of nowhere.
I know encounters like from grandparents' wise, at least dating back to 1940s. Just in Kentucky alone. So, in the Appalachian where I'm at.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah,
don't
it
know if
just
they've been here and they've just under the radar, or I don't know.
yeah, it's a mystery. Maybe it's uh, a bunch of rich people's super exotic breeding programs that they've let go once they've got had enough of
Um,
them.
no,
Especially in England and
somebody
stuff.
bought a line. Somebody
Uh,
bought a line. I'm not joking. Somebody bought a line a couple years ago and had it in his backyard in a dog cage. I'm not.
yeah,
This is like, yeah. The police had to get involved and they had to come get it. It was, oh my god. It's,
and that that's another good point. Actually, is there's a lot of places, a lot of states where you can buy exotic animals and big cats. And Michigan's one of them, and Indiana is another one, and where you can buy monkeys and you can buy big cats and baboons and all sorts of things. And it's a lot of responsibility. And sometimes these creatures get out. Sometimes they are let loose. And there's stories in Oklahoma. Of course, the Tiger King. There's stories of
oh yeah.
releasing some, and some people speculate that there's might be one or two roaming out around there, and some of these Bigfoot hotspots that people go to. Um,
Oh,
Certainly, it's going to be an issue. I think it's coming decades. And in Florida, they have
yeah,
monkeys
with,
and stuff, and it's a environmental disaster over there. But they actually have great apes, orangutans that they say are actually wild and have been for decades. So those would have evolved in the American ecosystem, and I mean, we don't study them, so who knows? They might be a little different. They might be slightly more involved than Asian orangutans. So,
like how the pythons are down there.
yeah, pythons and all anacondas, and
Yeah.
they got crocodiles down there and stuff in the Everglades, and uh, it's a disaster actually. In the 100 years and generations that follow, it's just going to be who knows what's going to evolve and stuff from it.
I think they're going to start coming up towards north, in my opinion. That's what I'm thinking. Is everything's going to start migrating up north towards like into Georgia and Tennessee, and I think into Kentucky too, because we really are getting like more humidity. We're becoming really swampy right now. Like, I think we will be getting a lot of new changes
Yeah,
next
eventually.
few hundred, like 100 years, even maybe even 50. I'm thinking we're going to be seeing something different because I've noticed like in Cave Run where I'm at, it's getting a lot more I guess wet, and there's more okay you know, like the swampy areas, like the marshes and stuff, like
Yeah.
that's happening here, so it's becoming more current.
Right, with especially with climate change and stuff too. You know, the world evolves and adapts and stuff, and so
Yeah.
maybe these cryptid creatures and stuff are animals that have just been adapted so far, especially the modern life and stuff. You know, we have radioactive leaks and stuff, and
Oh, yeah.
chemicals and stuff in the water, and you know, in Chernobyl and stuff. They've had weird sightings of all sorts of fish and animals, and they have flowers that are mutated and all sorts of stuff. And but yet, wildlife has thrived through that, and you know, they have cut open pigs and stuff that are discolored and all sorts of weird stuff. But life adapted and still thrived. So you know, nature's pretty hardcore. You know, I think some of these cryptids and stuff are pretty hardcore. Um, especially Sasquatch. Sasquatch is pretty hardcore stuff in the way they have evolved next to humans, and they're kind of in North America. I feel they're more of a companion type of evolution where they evolved alongside us to and observe us. That's what they do is
Yeah.
watch us all the time so we can survive because that's how they survive is watching what we're doing, where we're going, and how we're going to operate in the woods so they can adapt to it. But
No, definitely agree with that 100%. Especially whenever you're, like I was talking about earlier, with like the Yeti, how it's portrayed as more aggressive compared to ours. I think it really just depends on how they evolved and what their needs were met on how they needed to survive.
yeah, you know, in different cultures, you know, had different relationships with them, and usually they're not really good. You know, a lot of tribes and cultures have Native Americans, you know, had all over the spectrum, and a lot of it ended in conflict most of the time, I would say. But some of them uh, were, you know, they had respect and were regarded as spiritual guardians, and so they, you know, were left alone and not really too much conflict came about. But uh, in Russia and stuff, and in Siberia, and then throughout the Ural Mountains and stuff of these different tribes of you know, they had certain things that you just don't do. You know, you don't whistle. You know, you don't
Mm-hmm.
call out to these creatures because you would die. You know, they would come get you. You know, instead of what we do here is call out to them all the time and try to bring them in and stuff. In a lot of these cultures, you know, you don't do that. You know, because it would certainly bring a misfortune or death upon you, or uh, and so it just, you know, I think a lot of times, you know, there's a lot of evidence that points to these creatures not being friendly to people, and yet we go out there trying to be their friends. And sometimes I wonder if that's a very bad idea. But you know, everyone is basically trying to do that. You're putting yourself out there, being exposed to the most intense situation, and where you're not really going to be able to get out of it if something really wants to get you.
Yeah.
Just wonder, are we really painting the picture of something that's really not reality? Of it's really not friendly. You know, what do you think about that? Are they
Mm,
friendly? Are they not friendly? Or
honestly, I think it just depends. I mean, I know this is kind of cliche, but we have good people and we have bad people. I mean, I feel like that's going to be the same way with them. There's going to be some that's more aggressive. Like we have people that are. more aggressive than others. I mean, and I honestly, I think like maybe mental illness might run in their type. So, I mean,
All right, we got
anything.
Frozen North, man. Of course, we got a little echo going on your end.
Yeah, sorry about that.
It's all right. It's all right. Get that fixed. And if you're on YouTube and stuff, you should have your YouTube app. Or
Yeah, I shut it. Everything good?
Headphones and stuff might not be plugged in if it's playing through your computer.
You can't hear me?
I can hear you just fine and stuff, but the echoing is from an open window or some type of channel that's not connected to your
Okay.
headphones.
Let's see. I'm gonna. Okay.
But glad to have you on. Actually, so we'll get to talking about things.
All right. Is it better now or is it still?
I think that's all good.
All right. Cool.
Nope.
No, I'm
No, there's a
still
little delay going on your end, so it's a feedback from either it's too loud coming through your headphones and it's being picked up through your microphone, or your microphone, the headphones is not plugged into the computer fully. Sometimes if you plug your headphones in first and your computer registers it first, then you go to StreamYard to do it. Because if you do it while you're like getting into StreamYard, it sometimes
Yeah, I'm gonna come back. I'll come back. I think I see what happened. I'll come back.
All right. That's the one thing about StreamYard. Sometimes the headphones, when you're uploading to come into it, or you put them in while you're in StreamYard, sometimes it doesn't register all the way. And
Yeah.
hopefully have him back. He's actually seen some little people here in Michigan, so
Ooh, okay.
talk about a little bit if get everything fixed up.
Yeah, no, I'm interested in that.
Yeah,
learning a little bit
links
more
in the
about that.
comment.
Because I mean, I grew up with
Yeah,
stories, so
and it's fascinating that you're growing up with stories and stuff, and it, and your grandma growing up with stories and stuff. From the early 1900s and late 1800s and stuff. It really gives evidence and hopefully credence to like the possibility of modern remnants still surviving and stuff, because if they're surviving in the 1900s and stuff, they most likely probably adapted to modern way of life and modern human evolution to hide and evolve so they can pretty much thrive in this modern society, because humans are definitely different. We're not outside at nighttime as much. We don't have to get that firewood and do all these outside chores and to really survive on the homestead, like we did back then, and like your grandma and her parents and stuff did. Modern times, we have it so much easier. We're kicking back at 10 o'clock, doing live streams, watching TV. We're not outside traversing the landscape, certainly in the woods. And so these creatures and these cryptids can thrive and evolve and have a whole 12-hour period to traverse the landscape and gather the right resources to survive. I mean, certainly that's how Sasquatch does. So it really is fascinating to me, because I think that these little people are most likely still around in those little areas. The more stories we have of the 1900s and stuff, and modern sightings and stuff, gives credence to this. And then it begs the question of, does government know about those creatures and stuff too? And is this land that is set aside for nature, really for these cryptids and these entities? Maybe they, nature works differently and stuff, and maybe there's areas set aside for these creatures. And
Oh, that's a good
They,
point to make, actually. Like, what if that is one of the main reasons? Is because they know that they're there? That's a good point. I like that.
All right, so we got him back. Hopefully, audio's much better. We'll give it a
Is
try.
everything all right now?
Sounds a lot better now, my friend.
All right, cool.
That sounds like it fixed it. Common issue.
Alrighty.
So, Frozen Northman, glad to have you, of course. You're here in Michigan, and you, in fact, have actually seen a little person. Why don't you go into that?
3 of them.
A story. Yeah, let's go into that, and we'll
All right.
go from there.
Okay, I was telling you, I like get confused with that area. I'm not from Ann Arbor. I'm from the Macomb County area, so I'm actually from like Warren, East Point area, and I wasn't familiar with the like Ann Arbor. I just drove out there because I seen encounters on there when I was looking them up on the computer, and whatnot. So the day that I went out there by myself, as I was leaving, I started getting like an eerie like feeling, and I was recording with my cell phone, and I seen something move in the bush to my right, like, and it scared me, and I was like, oh, I need to like get out of here because I heard like a noise and I seen something move. Then I like turned to like start walking fast, and then all of a sudden in front of me, it was like 3 or 4 little people like this big. I thought they were kids, so I'm looking at them and I'm saying, oh, hi kids, as I was thinking they're kids at first. I go to say hi, and then I'm looking at them. I'm like, oh, I couldn't even say hi. You know what I mean? I was dumbfounded by what they looked like. Let's say, and man, they were carrying these sticks that were shaped like this, like a canoe paddle. All of them. They were about 3 feet high. I'll give them.
Huh. That's awesome.
That happened only November 18th, a couple of months ago. So I never believed they existed or anything like that. To be honest, I believe Bigfoots existed, but not little people.
So, what do you remember? What kind of stuff they were wearing? What kind of color?
I could tell you they were tan skinned. They were tan skinned. Pretty much like a Native American color. I would expect like, the Hobbit. You know about the Hobbit and Homo floresiensis. You're familiar with it, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And they're like kind of like a charcoal color when they try to do the reenaction. They were a little bit lighter than that. They looked like they were wearing clothes too. It's hard to say exactly what they were wearing, but they were wearing clothes. Yeah.
But it was like
kind of like
brownish
old
type
style. Like a tan.
Yeah, like
I would say they're a tan color.
Stuff. You said Native American type of look, clothing type of a look, like the dark leather type of a tanning.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Tanned animal skin.
I would say. Yeah, I would say about that.
So would you say were they white or were they brownish tan but a lighter color? Their faces and skins.
Yeah, they're not white. I'm white.
Okay. And hair color.
They're not like Italian tan, or maybe kind of, but like a medium tan. They weren't that dark, to be honest. Dark, black, I would say.
Dark. Or you say brown or black?
Black.
Okay, we're trying to get the details and stuff,
I know.
It's important and it's fascinating.
Right. No, I got you. I actually did an interview with Sasquatch Theory about, he was the first one that I actually talked to about my encounter with that, because I had already been on a show previously. But I mean, I could just tell you, whatever at this point. They were really, they didn't make a sound. They were 100% silent when they jumped in front of me. Not one peep of a noise. And they were communicating with their sticks, like at each other. Like they would point it. One of them would point it. There was 3 of them. One of them would point it at one other one. The other one would point at the other one. And for some reason, that's what stuck out to me the most. I was looking at the movement of their stick, because threw me off. I was like, what the hell are they carrying, you know? And when they seen me, they came out around the bend of the trail. So I'm walking the trail trying to leave because I'm scared, right? But they frightened me. They jumped right in front of me, like 20 yards, I would say. I was up on the hill on the trail, and they were down the trail from me. But they were right in front of me. They came around the bend, and they were like right there. And man, I was definitely freaked out. But I was in shock. I couldn't even get them on my phone because I was so shocked. I was recording over to my right. Like, I have it recorded. Like, I mean, I was freaking out after it, you know what I mean? That's why I never posted it, because I was like, what the hell was that? You know, like freaking out.
Right.
I wish I would have got them on camera, man. I really do. But I feel like they tranced me in a weird way. Because as soon as the last one was leaving, the one that actually looked, one of them, they turned to their, okay, so they're coming out from their right, okay? So they turned to their right to go back into the forest off the trail after I seen them. But they kind of stopped. The first one, you know, they communicated with each other with the sticks, whatever the hell they were doing. And then the one that was closest to me looked back at me like this, you know, kind of like a Sasquatch would do, like kind of looked at me like that. And that's when I seen his face, like more clear, you know. And it just they kind of look like little Native American people, but a little bit more primitive looking, I would say.
And so they slid back into the.
They had a bit of a like a shoulder slouch to them, you know, like a how would I say this, a kyphotic type of like rolled shoulders forward a little bit. I noticed when they were turned sideways.
When they slipped into the woods and stuff, did you? How far away did they go before you didn't hear them, or did you hear them walking away? Or
I didn't really hear them at all.
You can remember that?
So as I was saying, like right before when I started finally like coming around to like I need to get this on camera. I was like, I need to get this on camera. This is great. You know what I mean? Like this is huge. And as soon as I try to, you know, the thing looks back at me. And then I'm like, I don't need to get them on camera. That's what I said. I don't know. That was weird. I don't know if maybe I don't believe that they could trance me, but maybe I was just so shocked that I just was so dumbfounded. I just, you know, didn't know what the hell to do. Just frozen in place, basically.
Emotional overload, for certainly. I mean, and
yeah,
and you know, and that's an area that, you know, we've investigated dozens of times, and for Sasquatch and stuff.
I just went back out there.
Cryptids, and
I got some audio whistling and stuff.
Like you know, you around there.
Sorry. Am I lagging? Shit.
Yeah, you have a YouTube channel, of course, and you have like, Bigfoot stuff on there, and some people and some evidence of stuff that you haven't, stuff that you've seen on from like. So everyone check. So you think some of these whistles and stuff are from them, caught in the same area? I'm guessing.
Yeah, I went to the exact area. I was at Whitmore Lake. I actually went to the exact area where they took off back into the forest. This time I went there. It was covered in snow, and there was a lot of trees and downed trees and things like that. It was hard to traverse. When I actually got off the trail, I was like, damn. So I was like, oh, this is where the little people went, you know? And then when I said that, there was I got it. I'm on Audacity. I haven't released this one yet. I just released one, but I noticed that I screwed up. I should have downloaded the MP3. I'm gonna redo it, but I got a whistle. I got footsteps behind me, running behind me. You know, I got their signatures on Audacity, and you can hear them too. And then a wood knock when I went to right in that spot. You know, the whistle is like, but you can hear it clearly. It's like before that there was a weird like droplet noises, like someone's dropping water droplets on the ground or something earlier in that video when I very first went back to that spot. You could hear it clearly. I'm like, what are you guys doing? And then they did it again, like a weird.
Like a tapping sound, or you said water droplet. It's
water droplet
it was
sound.
interesting
It's the best I
sound.
can. Yeah, a water droplet sound, and that's when they got behind me. You could hear them run behind me, and then a knock. Like after that, or after the whistle, I turned. I was like, "What the hell was that?" Because I thought it was a bird. I chalked it up to being a bird. You think like logically, but then there was a knock. As soon as I turned like my head like this, it was a loud knock. Like, and I was like, okay. So then I backed out. I was still recording, but I like backed out of the area because I felt like I was just being surrounded or something.
It's good to listen to your gut.
That's how I felt the first time too. I was
know,
like they're surrounding me or something.
yeah, and it's fascinating. Again, a modern sighting of these little people. 3 feet, which is within the range of the legends and stuff.
Yeah, they were small, man. They were little. They were little.
That just boggles my mind of where do they live? Because,
I don't know.
they're not
no
covered
idea.
in fur. And it's winter and stuff. And it's like
Boggles the hell out of mine too.
and
I can tell you something.
Dwellings, they'd easy to find, but we don't have little houses out there.
I got a couple things from that after I told this encounter, right? So I have family from the South. I was telling you guys in the chat kind of, but my shit was lagging and I was like all over the place. But now everything's good. I have family from the South, right? My mom, originally, her mother was from Sparta, Tennessee, and my stepdad's family is from North Carolina. And but I don't want to tell you who told me, but I'll tell you just my family from the South. Okay, so there's Westland, Michigan, which is not far from where I actually had. I have vocalizations in Southfield, which is like right. It's not that far from like Ann Arbor area or let's say Livonia.
Yeah, I know where that's at.
Okay, so there was a close family member told me that there used to be an insane asylum over there. This is kind of crazy, and that the graveyard shift worker and his wife that worked there, they said that little people used to come out of the ground at night. They look like little Indians. When I told them this, I told them my story, and then they told me this, and I was like, "What?" And they said, "Yeah, we never believed them, but it was a husband and a wife, and they were older." And they said near, out in the fields near the insane asylum, it was little people that lived under the ground. I swear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. In the hills, under the ground. That's where.
And I have another. So I was listening to yours from Kentucky, right? What part of Kentucky are you in? Just
the
like
eastern part.
Eastern, southeast, or mid state, or.
Right now, I'm on the northern part, but
okay.
The southern eastern part is where I'm. From.
Okay, so my family's down in that region, and they was telling me back when my family member was young, I had another family member that was a school teacher, and she was college educated, and she used to tell him about little people, and she was serious because he was 14 at the time. It wasn't like a joke; it was serious. At night, they would come to the horse stables and take the horses out at night. The little people would, and I never heard this until recently. So I'm just like, I believe it because I've seen them now, and I'm mind blown by the whole thing. But it all makes sense. And then your family says the same thing that they seen them. So it just 2 and 2 together.
They're definitely there.
Yeah, exactly.
In the areas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, these credence, these modern, even 1900s and stuff. It does pay to have modern population still there, and if they live underground, which is a very viable place to go, and especially if you you have little secret doors and hatches, which especially if you're a little person, a human can't even fit in. I
think they're quick. Like when they took off,
why not and stuff. It's very relatable. There's all these stories of underground stuff. The natives talk about that. The settlers talk about that.
Mhm.
leprechauns and all that from Europeans and the gnomes. Even
Yep.
they talk
Dwarves
about
and
them
gnomes.
interacting and using and taking stuff and animals and even these, shining the shoes and stuff and helping people who, they liked, certain people on
Right.
properties that they lived on, if they were respected, sometimes they would help out, there,
Mhm.
there's these stories, they come from these happenances, and, there's a little truth in all. So it's very fascinating that here in America
Yeah.
we have sort of the same stuff going on, and it just opens a can of worms, and it's just fascinating.
Changed my life, man.
You know,
I mean, nuts.
so yeah, we I wish James is not on here, the caller kid, but him and our other fellow member Tyler, they went out and explored and went to some areas and didn't have much activity, but it just begs the question of where these cryptid creatures are hanging out and
Dude, in
where
Southfield,
underground entrances are, because they're certainly hidden very well.
I don't know, man.
So
But if you ever
I know we're
seen
gonna hopefully. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry. There's a
oh,
delay,
sorry.
so sometimes we
Yeah,
jump
yeah,
over each other.
right. In Southfield, have you ever seen the amount of structures that are in that one park, Bowervik State Park? There's like 20 different ones in a short area, small area.
Yes, I know what you're talking about, and
Hmm.
watched some videos on that from James Lady. Um,
Yeah, that's where I
um,
got the idea to go.
some of the I guess some of the locals say that some of the high school pupils did some of them. Obviously,
I
some of them were
figured
forced
that
into doing
might
stuff on
be
them, but he was exploring some of them, uh, not close to where people go, and they seemed more Bigfoot type of of a
yeah,
feel to them and stuff. And
yeah.
there are reportings and stuff throughout there, which doesn't seem like a viable area, but there's reportings, and we had a question up earlier we talked about because it kind of segues to this
Yeah,
from
it's
hello my friend, and the question is how would Bigfoot travel from woods to woods? Michigan doesn't have much woods besides the north. Even there's roads, towns, fields that all block and create gaps. So how does it travel? He has another comment. How does it travel without being seen in the open?
I got
And
a pretty clear
my
whoop
answer
in
for that is,
Southfield.
yeah. Um, Here in Lower Michigan, where it's mostly farmland, we do have chunks of woods, a lot of private property and stuff. And at nighttime, they traverse the landscape. And before dawn, they bed down in places that are not likely to get them spotted, even though it does happen during the daytime. So here in Lower Michigan, if you look at Google Maps and all that, a lot of researchers and people would laugh at the idea. But the fact is, especially during uh, the fall and harvest time when the cornfields, all the fields are at their premium growth, the Sasquatches are everywhere. They're all through this landscape, and they've evolved to live alongside humans and not be detected from
That
miles
is something I wanted to talk about their
down there.
nocturnal ability.
So at nighttime, everyone goes to bed at 10 o'clock watching TV. They have full control to traverse the landscape, and they do. And so, how many miles can they travel at nighttime? Well, more than 20 miles easily. And so they can hop, skip, and jump, follow river systems, get into places where you would not expect them to be. And especially during the daytime where they're bedding down. And there are places where you're not expecting a Sasquatch to be laying down at, but they are during the daytime. It's certainly next to suburbs and suburbia. So, what's your
Yeah.
take on that?
Uh, Mine.
Or what were you going to say and stuff?
Oh, I was gonna say. Well, when I was in Southfield, I got a pretty clear whoop, man. During the daytime too. It's It's definitely high pitched. It's a whoop like that, just like that. In Southfield at that park when I was there, and I also got wood knocks. But the whoop is what really like kind of made me think like, whoa, they might be here while I'm here right now. How the hell did they do it? But they could easily do it, easily, in my opinion.
Right. Right.
The
I was
nocturnal-
actually investigating that in the Google Maps, and that area would be pretty hard for a Sasquatch, I would think, to go. But honestly, at nighttime, and with how ignorant and blind people are, those people never think a Bigfoot would actually go in there. And there's definitely
Right.
reports of other areas where people have Sasquatch activity in places in the middle of a suburban area, neighborhoods at nighttime, where the Sasquatch seems to be going in between houses and avoiding IR cameras because they might be able to see that stuff.
Yeah,
So
that's crazy.
that would answer that question.
Well, the thing is, you like what I was trying to say in the chat, or I think was that what Sasquatch would be the only great ape that's nocturnal or that has a night vision. Can see at night. The great ape. There's other primates like there's night monkeys and stuff like that, but as a great ape, they'd be the only one.
Yeah, sorry about that. I think I don't think they're the only. They wouldn't be the only great apes to have nocturnal
Is orangutan maybe?
vision. There's some in South America. They're monkeys and stuff. I think they're considered great apes. And there's definitely evolution for it.
Yeah,
So,
there's monkeys. Yeah,
they would be like, I mean, bigger great apes. No gorillas and chimpanzees. I guess usually the nocturnal evolution is in monkey type.
right.
Right.
That's what I was saying. Yeah.
So,
But I heard your theory on the owl thing, and that made a lot of sense to me actually.
yeah, that's what the scientists and researchers have found is it's very along the same path. It's very, very, very similar, and anyone can look that up. So, if Sasquatch evolved along that way, they could probably see the dark very, very well, and depending on what spectrum and stuff too, that could open up things a lot better. So.
Right.
I'll be right back. I gotta actually do something. But what do you think about the Dog Man, Frozen North? What do you think about that here in Michigan?
I just listened to a woman in Oak Park, which is literally a mile away from where I was at in Southfield, talk about she just seen a dog man like the other day, and she's seen it up close and everything like that. And she's a nurse, so I would think it's mistaken identity. It's probably a Sasquatch, just because I'm hearing whoops in the area and whatnot. But maybe they are real. I believe in spirituality and things like that. I've experienced it. I can't say. I guess I would have to take people at their word for it that they've seen them.
Right. That's kind of how I felt. Is I thought misidentification. I thought just Bigfoot, maybe a baboon, Bigfoot type of thing going on, and until I seen it, a wolf crossed the road and then it stood up and ran and like a person would, and then I changed everything, man. And
you seen him?
I'm reminded. Yeah, that's what I seen. Me and my girlfriend seen a wolf cross the road, and it was massive wolf on all fours, very natural animal. And then it got into the field and stood up like a person and started running in the locomotion like a human. And
Jesus Christ,
it was pretty much, wow, they exist. They're real here in Michigan. They're close here in Lower Michigan. That if you ask those people that live there, they would laugh at you. But yet, seeing is believing. So,
right. Yeah, like I would have laughed if
Spiritual.
someone told me they'd seen a little person. To be honest, Be like, they
You know,
can't, they
same
can't
thing, yeah. But there's things out there. You know, we're experiencing things. You know, a lot of people see UFOs here in Michigan. Do you know anything about that UFO sightings in Kentucky and stuff? I would assume
Yep.
that's fairly.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a lot, isn't there?
I have had personally, let's see, three sightings, and then my mother has saw several. So, um, let's see, the first one, this was in the same area from my second Bigfoot sighting over in Johnson County, on that area of Kentucky. That's also the same area that I saw the big black cat. Let's see. The first one, I was coming back from, I think it was like basketball practice or something. So this is when I was in my teens, early teens. I literally, it sounded like, an old time photo, like the zooming, like the click zooming. That's what it sounded like. So we lived, I'm not going to say the exact area, but it's in a more country type area. So there's nothing really like that. No type of city or anything like that in that area. So that, I started running. That was the weirdest thing I've heard probably in my entire life. Like, out of nowhere. It's like literally like a old time picture click is what it sounded like. And then my mom, the one I saw, it was several lights. I didn't really see necessarily a saucer shape, but it was more of like and it wasn't like a satellite. I know what a satellite looks like. Like, this was several different flashing lights in more of like I guess more of like a rectangle, not like a saucer, but more of like a rectangle shape. And then my mother, she saw one big one and little ones coming off of it.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
yeah.
That's intense, you know. And you said that's an area where Bigfoot and you've seen the mysterious black cats and stuff. You know, there's a lot of areas where they're all kind of intermixed, and a lot of sightings and UFOs and orbs and stuff are seen together. You know, what's your take on that, Shannon? And then we'll get your take on that.
There was also a shadow person in that house also. That was just a very paranormal time in my life. Like, it was I guess like demonic. That's how I take it. Like the shadow people. I take it as like a demonic presence, because I believe like good spirits are the white and the lighter colors, and I think black are the maybe more mysterious, darker entities. So
certainly, that's what I believe. So, what about you, Frozen?
What was the question?
What do you think about all the areas of all these activities
Well,
of Bigfoot, of UFOs, of ghosts?
So
what's going on there? What do you think about that?
my opinion is essentially that there's likely extraterrestrials, but there's also the spirit world. This is just my opinion, and that possibly extraterrestrials communicate with Sasquatch, just what's going on Earth or whatever the case may be. Because we're back engineering craft, it seems like with the UFO phenomena, there's a lot of evidence pointing towards that, in my opinion, from what I've watched on it. And my family's encounters a very large UFO last year that shook them up real good, and they called the cops actually. So because it was right over their car following them.
oh wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I've seen some UFO. I've recorded some strange flying things in the sky, but not quite what they had. I wasn't there that day, and they were in a car, and it followed them. So that's my take on it personally. I think that there's the spirit world, but there's also extraterrestrials, if that makes sense, and that maybe they're more connected in a way that we don't understand. And like I said, maybe they communicate with the Sasquatch and other entities. That's my opinion on it.
Yeah, I kind of lean to terrestrial aliens, more earthbound aliens and stuff that are possibly
Okay,
living underground or in the oceans. Uh,
definitely possible.
Extraterrestrial, could be possible. I think the Earth is just bigger than what we think. There's so much mystery, and I think there's,
Hmm.
if you look into what the government has, Antarctica, there's all these national trees that you civilians cannot go there, and you look at some of these maps and stuff, and some of these government operations, like Operation High Jump, towards the end of World War II, where we ships that went down there and got into a fight with some unknown enemies, and discovered supposedly another civilization, underground facilities and stuff, and then there was other operation during the 50s and stuff, and Operation Fishbowl and Operation. A lot of stuff was going on that was seems to point to Earth and stuff being a lot bigger than what the official story is, and these
Right.
narratives place on it. And
Yeah, I've heard some of
Antarctica
them.
certainly being a lot bigger than what's shown on maps. So,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
so yeah, I think there's a lot of stuff we just don't know, and I think there's just natural stuff, and
100%. Yeah.
so yeah. But what's you guys' plans for 2022? Finally, COVID things are kind of lifting up. Winter's about almost over with. A couple more weeks, and the Sasquatch season for most people starting. It's a lot warmer and dear to go out. You guys have plans? You guys have goals? What kind of stuff you guys got going on?
My group will, if everything stays good, no COVID, nothing, no outbreaks. The Eastern Kentucky Bigfoot research team, we will be doing a kind of gathering expedition over at Cave Run. So
Awesome. All right, Frozen. What do you got planned and stuff?
Well, I plan on getting out when I can, just periodically. If I get this day off of work, because I work for a DPS driver company, so some days I don't get a route, so then I just go off and go into the forest and see what I get. But I also plan on going on a trip to Grayling, where my friend has a lot of land behind his house, which is a huge Bigfoot spot. That whole like Houghton Lake area and all that. So I'm definitely gonna go there, and I plan on shooting a documentary up there with a couple of my friends.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely a great spot and a beautiful spot actually. And there's a lot of sightings all through there and all throughout northern Michigan. It's fascinating, and we actually want to get you out and go out and try to look for some little people and stuff. Hopefully, when the weather breaks and springtime comes. But we're going to be going out here the next month and stuff, and trying out different areas, and a couple things planned this year. But I think that this year is going to be a good year for a lot of people. I think we're going to have a lot of success and evidence
Yeah, definitely.
And
Yeah, we should get together and
hopefully
do
we can
that.
show it to people. Yeah, definitely.
Um,
I definitely want to do that with you for sure.
yeah, sounds good.
So, um, so if there's questions in chat, let's get some questions rolling around and stuff. And yeah, so yeah, I was watching a video actually by Brent Dill, the Tall Ones YouTube channel. Says he wore the Bigfoot suit and was Patty, and it was very interesting. Interviews and stuff he gave on what he claims is, he is the person in the suit, of course. And while I don't believe him or anything, he did allude to some other interesting things of Bob Gimlin and Robert Patterson of possibly miss dates and stuff that weren't matching up with when the film was made and when it was developed and shown and stuff. So it kind of raises, in my opinion, raises some questions on things like that. I think it's a real Bigfoot and stuff they got, but I've always felt that there was a missing story there. There was something missing to that whole official story, and like when they filmed Patty and stuff, they shot Patty, and the reason why they don't have more footage is they ran out of film. It was the last little bit of film reel that they had, and some things like that. Issue with like the road wasn't there. The road was there. There was no big equipment up there, but there was big equipment up there, and certain things like that. Um, Very fascinating. So I want everyone to go check that out, the Tall Ones, and listen to that and stuff. And Brent's trying to have some discussions on that, and he's a pretty good guy and stuff. So, what's your take on the suit and the guy who claims he wore the suit or the Patterson film? What's your opinion on all that stuff?
Which one? Me or him?
You can go.
Whoever wants to go first. All
Well,
good.
I've looked at the video several times, and I think that is a female Sasquatch. Like the way that the muscles move in the legs, and where you can see pretty much the breast. Like I feel like back in that time, they would have portrayed that as a larger male, just because that time frame it was more of the scarier type of monsters. So I think that is a real animal, not a suit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would tend to agree that it's a real being because the suit, when I was just doing the research on it, you got Planet of the Apes and the comparison with the technology and everything like that, and the Planet of the Apes look terrible compared to Patty. And then the recent evidence of the thing opening its mouth, the Bigfoot opening its mouth, I'm like, yeah, that just everything, the musculature when it moves, the missing patch of hair, like where its hand would be when it's walking, like, they just, lots of evidence towards pointing for me that being a legitimate Sasquatch. And I'll be honest,
Yeah,
before I ever got
exactly.
into Bigfoot, I didn't believe in any of it. I thought that was fake. I thought until I had my own encounters, I thought all that was fake. I didn't believe in none of that. I'll be honest.
Yeah, that's right. You're pretty much a skeptic, and a lot of
Oh yeah,
people are until especially
yeah,
reality hits, and then they're forced to accept it.
yeah.
Uh,
Well, when they run right in front of you, shoot, what can you do?
you start believing, or you go mad. Uh,
Yeah, definitely. I've had spiritual things that have happened though. I mean, I've had very many spiritual things that I'm actually going to talk about on my channel that I've been wanting to talk about for a long time.
Yeah. I really don't talk about my ghost encounters and stuff like that too much. I have on a couple shows, but we're gonna have a show here. Hopefully, sooner or later, my girlfriend come on, and she's had some pretty scary physical ghost interactions where ghost has actually, left handprints and stuff on her and scratches, and of course, and she actually has some evidence of this. So, we will dive into that, but
That's
that is
scary.
just a whole another ball game. It is scary and it's
Yeah, it is.
horrific. You can't see it and you don't know what's going on. You don't know how to deal with it. And a lot of people who aren't spiritual or religious, they don't know how to interact with that or what to do. And even if
Right.
you are, it's very scary for any
Because
human.
you have to be logical in the world. You have to look at things from a logical perspective in a lot of ways. So when the illogical is right in your face and it keeps recurring, you're forced to accept it. And that's what happened in my case.
Exactly. What about you, Shannon? Have you ever had ghost encounters and stuff, weird stuff like that? Any family
Yeah,
members? Yeah.
yeah. My entire family. I think on the last show, whenever I was on here, I think I talked a bit about that. My dad, he got attacked and he was pretty much smothered. Um, there's been several times. I know in the specific house that I was talking about in Johnson County with the dark shadow figures, there was one that I believe that they travel different locations because sometimes they'll be in a home and then sometimes they're not. Like, when they are in the house. At least I can tell. Like, I can feel the presence. It's like a feeling of somebody's watching you and you just know. There's been several times whenever I was like 13, 14, laying down and you just sense it. I guess it's like kind of like a sixth sense. You can just tell something's not right. And let's see, at this was in Floyd County at my parents' home. Me and my sister were both sitting in the floor across from each other, and there was a white cloud mist type thing that just floated, like maybe like a foot off the ground, just floated right in front of us and just kept on going. Like, and this was in between us. And that
Wow.
was, yeah. And my sister, she saw tons of things. And my other sister, she saw stuff that I believe is demonic because it tries to make itself look like people that's kind of, I guess, that they know, because it made itself look like my brother-in-law to my sister, and it's made itself look like me to my other sister.
Hmm.
So I believe that is like some type of demon with that. I don't know, but it can
Yeah.
transform itself.
I wanted to say, do you guys ever wanted to do like a show about just, paranormal experiences that you've had or whatever? I'd be wanting to do that. I got to get going though. I appreciate you guys having me on. I had a good time and definitely do it again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Open to doing a show like that, and I'm glad to have you on and stuff. We definitely have to get you on for a whole show about just talking about your Bigfoot encounters and things like that and stuff.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, definitely, man.
thank you for
Sounds
coming
good.
on.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. Have a good night.
Yeah, you too. So everyone, yeah, check out Frozen Northman on YouTube. He has a couple videos and stuff of Bigfoot stuff and other things, and some things he's found on the Turtle Man Sasquatch shows, which you guys might find interesting. He also did an interview on Bigfoot Odyssey about a couple weeks ago. So everyone check that out. So yeah. So reading some of these comments and stuff.
I just now figured out how to do that. I've been looking at the private chat.
Oh, yeah, yep, yeah, and that's the whole thing about. That's why I don't really interact with ghost hunting and stuff, is because you can't tell if it's a demonic entity, if it's a ghost. If it's your dead relative. Like when my mom died and stuff, I was 13. Realistically, if my dead mom was to come to me, I think it wouldn't be in a spiritual, dark apparition type of thing. It would be much different. And, people who go to psychics and people who speak to the dead and stuff like that, I personally feel that it's more dark entities who just have the knowledge. They know who, your whoever died and stuff that only, you would know and stuff like that,
No.
but if your dead relative wanted to talk to you, I don't think you would have to pay money to have them talk to you.
No, I agree 100%.
That, so a lot of deception. And so that would be spiritual warfare in my religious views. And it's something that, I don't knowingly try to go into. But
mine's the same way. I believe the same way.
yeah, it's just bad news. You can't tell what it is. People get attached to things, and then you're battling things that, for most people, have no idea how to deal with or have no reference. They don't know what it is. They don't believe in it, so.
I feel like a lot of people open portals that they don't mean to. And I think things can be pretty much attached to, for life. So my dad, he actually does exorcisms and stuff. And he has exorcised quite a few demons out of people. So, and I know one in particular came from a guy using a Ouija board. So,
yeah, those are bad news. a lot of stories I've heard. I know people personally who've messed with that, and then a couple days later, one of the people's pets die, very mysteriously and very oddly, and the interaction was with that person and the board and stuff more than anyone else. So you don't mess with certain things. There's certain things in ancient knowledge and ancient beliefs that, whether you believe it or not, unfortunately seems to be able to interact with us. So that's why I have faith, believe in Jesus and stuff, and pray. And for me, that is the only way. And from my personal experiences with ghosts and being sleep paralyzed and felt like I had some hot burning metal stab into my flesh, calling upon the name of Jesus is the only thing that's seemingly worked to get rid of that situation. And when I sat up, my nightstand, my books and everything on that fell off, and I wasn't touching it. Nothing touched it. So there is something going on out there, and that's a story I don't really tell a lot of, but something's going on. And
it is. Well, I mean,
people should know, and Yeah.
Even like biblically, there is evidence of ghosts and demons in the Bible. So I mean, yeah. I mean, it talks about it, and even whenever you go back into like different pretty much ancient cultures, um, it's pretty much all the same.
That's true. You know, the spiritual world was very real to most every culture, honestly. Even the primitive tribes in Papua New Guinea and in the Amazon, they believe in spiritual entities and spiritual worlds. And, there must be something to it. There's a universal connection of knowledge there. So, um, and it's just something that's, seeing is believing. And it's hard for most people to believe. It's hard for me to believe, but I'm always reminded, once in a while that, there is weird stuff out there. And, that's where it begs the question of, are these cryptids ghostly entities, demonic entities? Are they flesh and blood? Because, the world would get very nightmarish if all this was connected paranormally and it was, say, spiritual stuff. That would be very nightmarish
Well,
and
I think
scary.
No, it definitely is. Okay, so Wendigos and Skinwalkers. How do you go with that? What do you believe in that? I think that's more of like bad spirits and all that. So I don't know.
Yeah, certainly. The the
Well, I don't
Wendigos,
know.
are regarded as
Wendigo. I think that might
spirits
be
and
like
stuff.
yeah. I know, like
Skinwalkers are definitely evil. They are generally are witches, and
yeah,
to become a Skinwalker, they say you have to do some evil, like you kill your beloved ones and stuff, horrifically, and feast upon flesh and wear skins of dead things. You become evil, uh, and in other ancient cultures, and doing those type of acts is how you get powers from the evil side. So. It kind of quacks like a duck and sounds like a duck and looks like a duck, it's probably something that's bad. Uh, in my opinion, that's, if you got to usually perform such a horrendous evil act to gain some type of power, and most of the time it's, I would say demonic because,
yeah,
um, and the Wendigo is a part of that too, is this insatiable hunger of demonic energy, this hunger of flesh and blood and of innocence and of of killing and stuff and rampaging and frenzy, and it's definitely sounds like spiritual warfare. The natives said it was spiritual.
yeah.
It could infect people and make them go crazy, and so it
Because
just begs the question.
I know some people believe that the Wendigo is like a gray alien and stuff, but I mean, I'm different on that, but I was just curious.
Yeah, sometimes sometimes it looks like the rake. Sometimes there are skeletons. Sometimes it's a starving humanoid in winter that must feast and stuff. And so there's a lot of descriptions. Sometimes they have antlers like deer with
Yeah.
deer skulls and stuff. And sometimes they're giant. Sometimes they're like 20 something feet tall or more. And sometimes they're 5 feet tall and humanistic. So that's one where characteristics vary a lot in the native cultures, and usually it's spiritual, but the attributes and the insatiable hunger is the rampaging hunger of blood. It seems to be the most common thing. So I used to think it was Bigfoot, because most of the reports are of a Bigfoot type of creature, but it seems to be incorporated with other things, and Bigfoots are said to have this type of hunger too, this insatiable hunger, and a lot of reports and tribes say that that's what they are, and they're evil spirits and stuff too,
Mhm.
cannibal giants, and this hunger that they cannot satisfy. So, it's just one of those things. And there's so much things out there too. There's like the Dover Demon and stuff, which is a alien type of creature that people have seen, and all these lake monsters and stuff. We had talked about these giant lizard snakes, sea serpent snakes, or these mega snakes that were painted on Native American cave drawings that seem to be on land and water, but not something that's here now. So,
Yeah.
so,
All right, great.
We'll probably go for another about 15 minutes, make it an even 2 hours, and then probably end the show out of there.
Okay.
So if there's any questions and stuff, of course, anyone, please write them up, ask them. I would invite everyone to go onto Facebook and go into Shannon's Facebook group, which is the Eastern Kentucky Bigfoot Research Team. She has a pretty awesome group there, a lot of good information. You can find a lot of good stuff from Kentucky and everywhere else and stuff too. I post there a lot, and of course, check us out at the Lost Cryptids Conservatory YouTube, Facebook. We're on Patreon. We're on BitChute. We're on a couple different platforms and stuff, of course. And always got stuff going on, of course. More content coming, and we're going to be releasing more evidence from the UP trip, of course. Eye shine and stuff that we captured. That appears to be one eyeball. This phenomenon of them either closing one eye and peeking with one eyeball open, or there's a possible individual who was missing an eyeball, who we don't know, but we'll be releasing some more stuff on that and some audio, so and stuff from Florida, from the 168. I got some stuff that it's almost been about a year, and Kerry Arnold is still working on stuff. He's a busy guy working in the oil field, so I'll be releasing some of the stuff that I did and shot and filmed and stuff, and so I'll narrate some stuff and for you guys, and hopefully you guys enjoy and stuff. So yeah, winter's about over with. Everyone's finally gonna get their big boy pants on and get out in the woods because winter's too cold for a lot of reachers, and that's okay. But we're gonna give one go around before the snow's up, trying to find these tracks. It's a lot harder than it seems, but that's what we've been trying to do. Been trying to do that solo and stuff, and it seems like there's always one step ahead of it, and they're hidden.
Yeah. Well, I don't know how it is for you, like weather-wise, but I know in Kentucky, one day it'll be 66, and then literally the next day it'll be 10 inches of snow. So it's so hard to get, like, even evidence-wise. Whenever we was over at, I'm not going to say the name of the area, but Rowan County area, I found a track, and I didn't have no supplies or anything to be able to make casts because it was literally just a hike. But even before I could even get anything to make a cast, it came a downpour, flooded the whole area. So honestly, it is very hard in these weather conditions that we have here to be able to get evidence, whether that be bone, pretty much anything, because our weather is horrible. It's constantly changing.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely true, and especially when you have to go back and get like casting material and stuff. Is the track going to still be there by the time you you get back? So we got the caller kid joining in late, last minute. How you doing, James?
I wrote a comment in the chat saying I misread your thing.
I seen that. Yeah, we started a little earlier, having the guest co-host Shannon come on. I thought it'd be easier to join in at 10. Also, I didn't want to stay up as late tonight, so I started a little earlier.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I don't know if you checked the show out earlier. We had Frozen Northman on.
No, I completely forgot.
Yeah, pretty cool guy. This guy I was talking about, and we're trying to put something and look for these little people and stuff in some of these areas we go to, and so anything new for you, James? Did you check that video out? Did you look and find anything?
Yeah, that was a little embarrassing to go through. But no, I didn't really see anything in it.
Yeah, that was actually something that I thought I had lost, and
I didn't know it was night vision, so
found on this memory card that I actually didn't think I'd use because I don't use it. But anyways, I thought I'd send it to you because you're into the paranormal ghost stuff, and that's what we shot up in the UP of this little girl who had died on the property, and we were trying to communicate with you and Ann Davies and Gwendolyn. So nothing so far that you've analyzed and checked out? Nothing that catches your eye?
No, just stuff from my phone. What I shot. Nothing from the camera that I saw.
Gotcha.
But me and Tyler went out last. How long was it ago?
It was last week. Yeah, I briefly mentioned that. You want to give a synopsis of what happened and what you thought?
I'm trying to figure out what day it was. All right, I figured it out. Was that last week? Yeah, about a week and a half ago. Yeah. Well, yeah, we went to Waterloo, and it was really cold and windy. We took a hike all the way out to this bridge in the middle of a lake, and I think we were just listening there for a second, and then I think me or Tyler did a small howl, or he did a wood knock on the bridge, and then owl went off, and another weird noise occurred as well. I don't know if it was an owl doing a weird call or it was a coyote, but nothing else was heard that night after that, really. But we did see a lot of deer, so there's deer in the area.
Oh yeah, plenty. The owl calls. It's very interesting that, and we have Tyler has recordings of wood knocks. Owl calls are responding to the wood knocks, more wood knocks right after. And in Native American culture, some of these owls and owl calls are said to be omens of evil and stuff. Some of these tribes actually said that these creatures that did these owl calls or these mimics, they were evil and stuff, and it was a bad omen and stuff. So that's something that always is in the back of my head whenever I hear these owl mimics or these owl sounds that we hear in conjunction with Sasquatch activity. is it them communicating and stuff. But yeah, nothing too much happened with you guys there. But hey, that's usually what happens. I've been going out solo and not much really been going on, but still got to try.
Yeah.
Have fun. And we're getting ready for another camp out next month, actually. And me, you, and Tyler are gonna have meetings here to get some things finalized. And but it's gonna be pretty good, pretty epic. A little bit warmer than last time, and I'm hoping for some activity. So I got a good feeling, whether it's this spot or the next spot or sometime this year, it's going to be some pretty epic encounters that hopefully we can film. So that's what I feel, and I think other people are going to get the same stuff too. I think it's coming. So any last things you guys want to talk about? You guys want to plug in?
Well, you said you don't want to go more than 2 hours. Otherwise, I would bring up a whole nother topic.
Well, I mean, I don't really want to go too much longer, but we can always come back and do another show, of course, and
That's true.
all that. But if you have something, throw it out there, James, and we can have another discussion about it if you want.
Well,
If you had something on your mind or something,
I mean, right now I don't, but
All right. But yeah. So we'll definitely have to do this again. Shannon, of course, you can come back on and co-host. Do some more open mic nights and have some more people in. I know Brent had mentioned that he is possibly gonna try to make it on, but obviously he didn't make it. And I'm gonna do a shout out to Leon Thompson. Unfortunately, he is in the hospital and pretty intensive care, and so shout out and prayers to him for speedy recovery. With what he's dealing with and stuff, unfortunately. He's a really great, brilliant mind who's, a bright light in this community. So, Godspeed with him. And check out some other stuff. There's another channel, Curious Cryptids. He's done some audio work of some phony audio, basically, and it is very interesting and stuff, and it reminds you of how what people use to hoax and stuff, and possibly using like ropes and stuff, running ropes on wood and stuff to make certain calls, and it's very interesting how it matches up. So I would suggest everyone go over there and subscribe and check some of his stuff, and check out the College Kid, of course. Subscribe to him. He has some pretty good evidence actually on his channel, of course. And,
I don't know about that.
while he doesn't do much on it recently, he does. You do have some good stuff on there. Everyone should check it out. Give yourself some credit. So check out Shannon's Facebook group, Eastern Kentucky Bigfoot Research Team. A lot of great stuff on there. Of course, he runs it very amazingly awesome. And anything else you want to plug in, Shannon, before we get going? Anything else you want to last minute drop?
I could go on for a while. So
Well, next time you come on, we'll definitely go on and have another good show. Get James on there a little earlier so we all three of us can have some good discussions.
Yeah, I was I'm more used to the 11 o'clock shows, so my time scale is like way off. Also, looks like you got
I
a
know,
haircut.
I
Too.
know. Well, you know, it's usually it's 11. You know, easier for the kids going down. Oh, you noticed the first one to notice. No one in chat actually did chop the beard a little bit. Yeah, a little bit of a new look. James, you win the special prize. You're the first and only one to point that out. I'm kind of
It's been
shocked.
2
other people
hours
did
and nobody
notice,
said
but,
anything.
no one. Not that I've seen. I was gonna give a special shout out to the person who did. So almost last couple minutes, and I was like, oh, no one's gonna notice, but my buddy James.
Yeah, I could tell because it's a different style completely right now. So.
Well, I'm doing a ponytail too, so like that's a little different with my hair, and
Oh no, we lost him.
Yeah, froze.
but yes.
Oh nope, he's back.
So join us next week. We'll have another live show. Might have a guest, or we might invite Shannon back if she wants to.
I'm always down.
Of course, always. We're gonna probably do another open mic discussion show. So we'll see how the dice rolls, and we'll get back to it, guys. So thank you everyone for watching. Thank you everyone for supporting, taking the time out of your day to watch us. We really appreciate it, and we hope that everyone has a great rest of the night. We'll see you guys next time.